Alright everyone, welcome back to our playthrough of the Repentance here. We're back again. It's been a while since I played, but we managed to finally get the post-it note, or not the post-it note, the Polaroid, so now we can go to the chest for the first time. I think we went with Maggie. We kind of struggled a bit. Actually, we went with Maggie, but you probably haven't seen this video up because I haven't been able to really record or do anything because for these last couple of days my internet's been very finicky and it's been hard to even just play or even try to like upload a video or even like edit or do anything, so I kind of haven't been really in the mood. But now finally I think it's getting a little bit better to record now and finally sit down and record. I'm not sure what we want to do. Like I said, we haven't done anything with Blue Baby. Maybe we do Blue Baby. I think we still hold off. I guess we do. I guess we haven't done anything with Azazel. Azazel to the chest. He's probably the easiest one. Easiest character to play. Even though I know a lot of people like Azazel, I'm not the biggest fan of Azazel. I mean, I do like him as a character, but I don't really. He can be kind of annoying to play sometimes, and getting down to like the brimstone, especially at lower levels where his brimstone can be kind of hard to like charge up and like maneuver and hold it down basically. But yeah, so our main focus is going to be range with Azazel, but hopefully we can get some more range. It's been a minute since I've talked, but I mean, like, a lot has kind of come out. I was going to make actually a Borderlands video, but sadly I recorded a part, but my mic wasn't even recording. I didn't even realize until it was already kind of too late, and I had already basically finished the video, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, there was no audio for it. But so now I had to be like, okay, well, what do I do now? So I've been kind of like just like trying to figure out what to do. I guess I'm gonna have to skip that part. Are we back? Something kind of glitched out. I wasn't sure what's going on. I think we're good. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, like I said, it's been I basically recorded the whole video without even recording the audio for the mic, so now just the sound of the game. Hopefully the audio recording. I did double check because I had to like look and see. But yeah, I think as of recording this Borderlands, the new DLC is coming out, so they're introducing pearlescence. I think they put out like a little trailer, or not a trailer, but like basically like a blog post kind of thing, or like info dump about all of the content coming in, all the new like DLC stuff, and how it's gonna be a little bit bigger, the new weapons, showing off some of the weapons, and the biggest being pearlescence, which we haven't seen pearls in a really long time, which is pretty crazy to think. I guess for Borderlands 3 they couldn't add pearls, or because of some type of like the way the weapon system kind of works. I think we take this. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do with pearlescence, because I know like pearlescence are kind of like, people have a love-hate relationship with them because they were such an iconic part of like Borderlands, especially like Borderlands 2, even though some of them weren't very good, or some of them just were poorly balanced, especially for endgame and how rare they really were. I know some of them were like really good, like the Becca obviously became so iconic. I think the Becca, there's the Avenger's really good, the Butcher, but the Butcher was like another one that kind of came back with Borderlands 3, and it came even better in Borderlands 3 because you didn't need like all of the specific parts for it, especially with Borderlands 2 and how rare it was. The Avenger was pretty good, but it was only really good on a certain character, but like there was a lot of the Carnage was good too, and I think there was the Storm was alright, the Godfinger was alright, the Wanderlust wasn't very good. The Unforgiven was another really bad one too. I think there's a couple other ones, or the Bearcat, I think, but that kind of got turned into another brought back and kind of was a little bit better as like a Torga assault rifle with like the big like grenade projectile splash. I think we do take that, but yeah, hopefully they add some good ones. Maybe they'll bring back some returning ones as pearls. Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see. I've been actually playing some other games too, even though my internet's been kind of finicky. I've actually been playing the Far Cry games, or I guess I've been replaying them, you know, like Far Cry 3 actually I've been replaying through, because I think apparently they put out like I guess this was like maybe like a recent thing, or maybe I just didn't realize they put out like a patch or something for like Far Cry 3, or the version of Far Cry 3, because I know you could like buy like the enhanced version they called it, or like the upgraded version for like the Xbox One, but now they have like one where it's like for Xbox Series S. I think they increased like the frame rate of the visual stuff. I remember I've been playing it a little bit here and there, and you know, that was one of those like old games I remember playing like a lot. Like that was kind of like my like favorite game to play, like in terms of like the old school like 360 games, because I mean that game is pretty old now. It's almost like a decade old now at this point, maybe a little bit older. I think it was like 2012, which is a really long time away, considering that, you know, like we're already almost so many years into the future now, like 2026. You know, it's weird to play a lot of those like OG games. I guess it's not like, I guess it's OG for me when you were like a little kid when the game came out, or not like a little kid, but like a young teenager, like playing a lot of like inappropriate games that you maybe you shouldn't have been, kind of like Call of Duty. So I've been playing that because I remember like even remember back when like Far Cry 4 and 5 came out, and I'm like thinking like, wow, these are like some of the best looking games. Ooh, well, I guess we have 30 cents. I didn't even realize we got 30 cents. I guess we take this then. I was kind of distracted for a little bit. I guess we keep going. But yeah, I've been playing that too, and it's actually pretty fun. I mean, like I said, it definitely feels like an old game, even with like the upgraded visuals, you know, like the mechanics too. But in the gunplay, feels a little bit janky compared to like some of the other like shooter games that have come out that have kind of like spoiled us and kind of improved everything. But I guess we'll never really see. You know, I always thought like maybe we'll see like I guess now like Far Cry 4 or 5 would like get like a, I don't know, like a upgrade, because I know people didn't like Far Cry 6, because Far Cry 6 was very controversial because they changed like a lot of the core mechanics and even like the whole like aesthetic and like some of the characters, you know, being woke and being on like the kind of Cuba, like Latin America, Caribbean aesthetic, which I thought was a pretty cool aesthetic. But and I actually did play a lot of Far Cry 6 because I was excited for it, but I think they, like I said, they changed too many of the mechanics and like they kind of like Ubisoftified it, I guess, because even though like they tried to do too much, but then it felt like this isn't really what I want. You know, like changing the way the weapons work, or some of like the way the weapons feel and work. Changing like adding like the gear system, or like not the gear system, like the clothing system. I did like the what they called this DLC, basically the villain pack, I guess, or the sanity pack, where you had like you could do like that little, where you play as like Voss, who's basically like the main villain of thing, and then you play as like Pagan Min, and I believe it's Joseph from Far Cry 5. And you basically do like, I think it's like a roguelike basically, where you go in and you can like find like perks, upgrade, and then you like slowly build up, and then eventually you have to like collect all the pieces and escape. It was a pretty cool little DLC for what it was. I didn't really like the I forget what it was called, like the weird space one where you play as like the main character Danny. I mean, at first I didn't really like it, but then I kind of went back and played it and finally like beat everything, and it was actually pretty fun for what it was. But it's one of those things like once you do it, you kind of don't really go back to it, which is kind of like a sad thing. Because I know like the other, like I seen with like the other Far Cry. I think this. Let me see if this is a little bit better. I guess this might be a little bit better for us. Maybe not really have an actor for that, but I think it was fun for what it was, because you get some cool like clothing or like gear for the main game. But I guess now that because Ubisoft is kind of like kind of like lost their way, is now like being bankrupt or like losing a lot of money. Who knows if we'll even see like a Far Cry like 7? Because I know that was like a big rumor, like a big thing everyone was talking about, like Far Cry 7. But who knows if that will ever come out, or maybe they'll try to like pass it on to like another studio or something, or who knows. Because I kind of wanted them to like, I guess everyone wants like a new Far Cry or a new game, kind of. But I guess everyone was kind of upset with like what they did to like was it like Assassin's Creed with like Shadows. I guess people like was it Mirage was the last one, and like Odyssey, but I never really I was never really an Assassin's Creed fan. The only really big one I played was Black Flag for a little bit, because I thought it was cool. I like, who doesn't like pirates? I think we just take this because why not, even though it's maybe gonna kill us in the end. But I think we just keep going. I don't know, like it's kind of sad that like, you know, like your favorite company is starting to lose, because you know Ubisoft was kind of like this, like they could do no wrong and they were making so many cool games, and you're like waiting for the next big thing to come out, and now you're like, well, I don't even want them to make a game, or maybe you kind of secretly want them to fall because, or like lose their like support and become bankrupt because of like their greed or because of poor mismanagement. We don't really need that. I don't know, it's one of those like sad things, you know. Like a lot of studios kind of go through that phase now, or I guess that's like kind of happening with every game, you know, or every studio where they, because of poor like mismanagement, are trying to like jump on trends with like the free-to-play like live service game. You know, everyone like they end up losing money and hurting their reputation even more than they would have if they just kept making like the single-player like action games, or like making Assassin's Creed that the people actually wanted, or making more Far Cry's instead of, you know, dumping all their money into like, they made like that, I forget what it was called. They made like a weird like text like battle royale game. Then they had like was X Defiance, which that like went under. And then I guess the only big one they have is like Rainbow Six Siege. I think that's Ubisoft. I don't even know. I think it is Ubisoft. But I remember like I only played a little bit of that game, but it wasn't for me because it's a little too like a little bit sweaty for me to play. Because like if you never really played it and you try to like jump in as a new person, you know, you're gonna end up just like getting made fun of, or getting like people pissed off at you, which is like I guess how it is, especially now that the game's been out for even so long. Like it's already been like, what, I think it came out like on 2016 or 2015 or 2017, kind of like in the like tail end of like the Xbox One, PS4 era, and it kind of transitioned to like the next gen now, with like what is it, like Rainbow Six X or something, or like a new edition or whatever, like to like enhance it or to like basically transition it to the new generation. Which, you know, I don't know. Like I said, like I guess that kind of is how it is for a lot of these games. But it's fun to like go back and play like the old Far Cry games, or play like a lot of like the old like Ubisoft games, because now they're like so cheap. Like Ubisoft basically kind of just gives them away at this point. You know, you can get all of the like the major Ubisoft games, or like all of the big like OG ones. You know, like especially in that kind of like 360, not 360, Xbox One era, because there were so many like I forget what like the first one was. It was like a Unity or Rogue or something like that kind of like weird, another like obscure one. Then there was like obviously Black Flag was like the big like game changer. There was I think it was Syndicate, the weird like British like English old timey thing, like in the kind of like post industrial UK kind of aesthetic, where you play as like the brother and sister. Then there was like the two, I think it was Origins, which was like the Egyptian one, which was pretty cool, but they kind of made it a little too like, they kind of added like relied too much on like loot or like gear and like the progression system. I remember, or was it, I think Odyssey, is it Odyssey, like the one where you play as the male or female? Because that was kind of when they were doing like the, instead of like having a main protagonist, like, you know, like Ezio or whatever, like Edward or whatever. I think the other character from the other, like, I know there was like the revolutionary one you play as like the Native American character, but I think that was still like the last end of like the 360 or something like that, or the PS3 era. I don't know. I always get those like mixed up. So I remember, because I never, like I said, I never really played those games, but I always remember seeing them and kind of like thinking about trying to play them. We still need a bit more oomph for us, but I think we still need a bit more range. Like, range is going to be our big thing because we don't have much health. Maybe we can get Guppy, but I guess we're not going deals with Devil because we're always, I guess, down so much health. Maybe we need more health upgrades, but we don't want to take deals with the Devil anymore now because we're kind of behind on health. Yeah, let's use this. I guess we go up. I guess we could play you. Maybe get a health upgrade. I'm willing to spend some money. Maybe get a health upgrade. I wanted like a heart or a compass, or like a piece of food. Car, and I guess we take the stars. We save that for later. Well, I guess we haven't used our fool that we start with. Hopefully, yeah, dessert. There we go. I guess we do this because we get more out of it actually, but it's only temporary health, obviously. So we got to be even more careful, I should say. We use this. Speaking of like other stuff, I know like I guess I talked about it in my Borderlands 3 video, but that kind of, like I said, they didn't record. So I guess like PlayStation had like another state of play where they showed off basically like all of their like, I guess like not first party, but a lot of like the stuff coming out. Like the big stuff was they showed off, was it the new Kenna game, or Kenna Bridge of Spirits kind of game? Because I remember that was like a really big like next gen game, or next like big reveal of like as a PlayStation exclusive game, like because it was actually looked really good. Like, I mean, like when you first saw that, like, wow, this actually looks like a next gen game, because it had like that kind of like Disney Pixar kind of like animation, and then you like actually play it and you're like, wow, this looks really good. But I think that was like not kind of in that like early phase where it was like a console exclusive, or like where it was only on PlayStation for like that first couple years or whenever it came out. Because I know it got delayed, like a lot of those games. I think they showed off like a sequel, so I don't know. I never really played. I've seen like some gameplay, but it was never kind of like a action adventure game, kind of like a Zelda, I guess. Where I don't know if it was like crafting or more of just like, but it kind of had like that Dark Soul where you're like parrying, like you had like the different bosses, and the main gimmick was you had the little soot guys, or the little root guys that like followed you and were like basically like little Pikmin basically that would like help you like solve puzzles and move stuff and fight enemies. And like and I obviously became like a fan favorite character, even though like I don't think many people play it. I mean, like if you like look it up, you probably aren't going to see many new people playing it now. Maybe they will once the new game comes out, or leading up to it, because you know the new game actually does look pretty good, considering that it's probably like another, I guess, actually fun like PlayStation exclusive game, but I guess maybe it'll come to like PC later on, or I guess it's coming to PC also, but come to Xbox, and maybe they'll bring Canada like Switch now that the Switch 2 is out, because they really are. I guess they're not bound to like a contract or the exclusivity, especially with like the first version that's now on Xbox, like I said, or on PC. Or maybe we'll see that too. Obviously, the big one was the God of War trilogy. I think there was some other stuff too. They showed off like Resident Evil. They showed that like was it Pragmata, that like weird like space like daddy daughter simulator game, which with the weird like puzzle combat, which it doesn't really looks kind of. I mean, the game looks interesting, more of like a story kind of game where you kind of like have those little fun little moments. But the combat and like the weird like robot dystopian AI, or like maybe the robots are actually human, kind of like that like Wall-E game where like the robots have emotion or something like that. I guess that's kind of what the game looks like, at least from what I've seen it. Because I remember they showed that game off and like back in like the first like teaser for the PlayStation 5, and it was like 2022, and then it came out in like another year or two later. It got like delayed, or I think it was even like more like it was like one of those like in the future games, but then even now it got delayed, and now we're only now after everything, it's finally coming out after everything, so who knows. Now, that's kind of the thing too about a lot of these like old games where everything now is starting to come out. But I think the big thing obviously was the God of War like remake, which who knows if that's. I guess we only showed a little bit of gameplay, and they didn't say when. But they made that 2D platform, the Ghost of Sparta kind of trilogy game, which a lot of people have been kind of joking on, saying it looks a little too generic, too much like a mobile game, and people were like, I seen like videos of people saying it got really bad reviews, which I don't know. I mean, it's not my cup of tea of a game, and obviously I don't own a PlayStation 5, so I'm not someone jumping in to like go and play that game. But I mean, I've seen a lot of people kind of seeing that the game doesn't have very good reviews, or it's gonna it definitely isn't what people wanted from like a God of War sequel or a God of War game to kind of hold people off for the next like mainline game or the next saga in the Kratos story, or the new Kratos story that they're trying to tell. Who knows? So I mean, like it's kind of. I mean, like I guess for some people it's probably like fine, or like, they'll probably enjoy it. But for a lot of people, it's like this isn't what I want. But I guess no one really knows what they want, because I guess where do you really take Kratos? You like kind of just say like, okay, now he's in Egypt, or now he's in Japan, or he's in like I don't know Mesoamerica. He's fighting this pantheon of gods, or he's gonna fight Jesus, because that's like the meme now of like what year is where are we gonna take Kratos, or are we gonna get like a? Because I remember people saying there's gonna be like a Atreus spin-off game with the son, because he's like gonna go off on his own, where maybe it takes place where he's older and he goes and does his own thing, and he kind of learns more about like the giants and like what happened to them, or about like giants in like other parts of the world, or becomes kind of like a ambassador, or kind of like a person going and learning about them and kind of discovering who they are, that kind of mythology. But I think people maybe do want that, but I don't know if I want that, because I think a lot of people kind of want like a return to like the original God of War, or seeing Kratos be more of like being what he was in like the original God of War, or like those like kind of original trilogy, like the first like 3 games or first 2 games, I guess. I guess there's 3 games, and then there's like what is it the PSP version, then there's like I think Ascension, which I'm not sure what Ascension is. I think Ascension is like another weird spin-off, or one of those like PSP or PS Vita kind of games that kind of came out as like another extra piece of the like lore of God of War. But the big one was like the first 3, which is obviously what they're focusing on for this trilogy. A dead tooth. We don't need dead tooth. But who knows? I know. I mean, I guess like I said, like people are supposedly saying it's going to be in Egypt is like the big new game. Alright, give me 1 second, guys. Alright, sorry about that. I clear my nose again. That's what happens when you like kind of start talking and start rambling, so I get like a little bit like congested and like a little backed up. But I guess like I said, like with God of War, I don't know, because I know like PlayStation has been like in a very like people are kind of turning their back on PlayStation, because that was kind of the joke of everyone was like defending PlayStation, or like the PlayStation like fanboys are defending PlayStation and everything, especially with like the obviously like the new Horizon game was another big one, but they kind of showed that up before the trailer got revealed, and like everyone's kind of dunking on that for being like this is what we want, and like looking a bit very appealing to a particular set of the market, or a particular audience type, which no one really wants. But like I said, and then obviously like I think the big thing right now is as of recording this, I guess Sony closed down one of their major studios, which is called oops, I didn't mean. Well, I guess we still have our stars card, so we can go back out. Kind of got a little bit distracted, but they closed down one of their major studios, Blue Point, which is I guess they're like a kind of like a remake slash like assistant company. They're not like they don't make like their own independent games. They kind of more of like help support or make like a lot of like the port type games or like remakes of games from because the big thing I think they did was the Demon's Soul remake, was like another big like PlayStation 5 like launch title or launch exclusive, bringing like that old like I think it was like PlayStation 3 game to the modern audience and like having that. But apparently they got shut down. I don't know because they were like I guess working on like another like ironically a God of War like type of game. We got Boss Rush up here. I don't know if we want to do Boss Rush. Let's go in here real quick. I think this will be a work. I guess we get this. I think we skip Boss Rush because I think we can cheese it. We might as well cheese it. Ooh, Pooptosis. I don't know if I never seen what's it called the lung with the brimstone. I think we take this and teleport out. I don't think we want to worry about Boss Rush right now. Pardon me, but like I said, they closed down Blue Point, which is like a studio, and I guess they were working on a God of War sequel. Not sequel, but like a spin-off game that was supposed to be live service, which is everyone's favorite type of game. And everyone's like joking on them and saying, well, why are you working on this? And I guess Sony's like, nope, you got to close them down because it costs too much or because of, the market or because of something else. And I guess people are now really upset because, like, why are you closing down this, like, studio that could, like, help make a lot of, like, the, what's it called? The, like, remaster a lot of, like, old IPs and bring a lot of old games back into, like, the limelight. And like get people excited about PlayStation, especially like the first party like scene, because like the only like other big first party Sony games that have really come out obviously are God of War, like the God of War games, and like I guess now Horizon with, but considering that they're making that other like Horizon game, yeah, that's gonna push back like the third like Horizon mainline game, and maybe the next one will be like Spider-Man like 3, which who knows if that's coming out or that's gonna be delayed to like a PS5 or PS6 exclusive game, which. Even odd to that, like the PS6 is apparently getting delayed, which I kind of talked about way back, where, I kind of talked about how they're like supposedly going to make it, but now with like the whole RAM and I guess AI and stuff, like everything's like going to be delayed and pushed back because there just isn't enough like components or pieces to be made or to be sold or to be like made into like commercialized products like the system to sell to the general public. It's better to sell to like these AI companies or data centers and like do that instead, which is gonna like, push back everything, which like who knows what they're gonna do. But like closing that studio has definitely left a lot of people angry, and and even then, as I'm recording this, like I guess Microsoft is letting go of Phil Spencer, who's like another big you don't know, he's basically like the CEO. I guess he's not like a CEO, but he's like a head of like Microsoft or like one of like the head like CEO type kind of characters, and then it's like him, and then there's this other like lady, I think her name is like Sarah Bond or Sarah Bondi or Bondi or something like that. She's basically like the face of PlayStation. She kind of does like a lot of like she's always there in she's basically like that black lady who's always there in the like showcases or like the reveals. She kind of comes and talks for a little bit. Same with Phil Spencer every once in a while. But I guess now she's also leaving or she's stepping down. And now they're bringing some other new like lady or some other guy to come in like replace them, and he's like going to be like the new like CEO or head of. And basically, they're like the top of like head of like AI or like AI or like stuff like that. Basically, they're from Microsoft, like main Microsoft. They're not just like Xbox, and they're coming to like manage to run the whole company and trying to push AI and generative AI and like do all that to like make like these next gen games, because that's like the whole like big thing obviously now, the new selling point. And like I don't know like what was going on behind closed doors, but I assume that. Phil wasn't just like retiring like out of the blue, like, oh, it's my time now. This was obviously him being fired or being like, hey, it's time to go because you're not doing what we want you to do, or because of something else, or maybe a disagreement. Which who knows, because I think this is probably gonna leave a lot of people like looking at like Phil, because I think a lot of people complain about like Phil's like I guess his like direction, kind of like with a lot of like the other people too, like these higher ups are like making a lot of like dumb decisions or trying to push. Oops, we died. Oh well. Well, I mean, I guess that's going to be it for this playthrough. We sadly died. I got kind of a bit distracted there, but I don't know. Like I said, we'll just close out for a little bit. I guess, like I said, who knows about Xbox? You know, all the CEOs are leaving, but I guess that's gonna be it for this video. For this part. I mean, we kind of died. Like I said, I was kind of getting distracted. I should have focused more on the game, but I guess, yeah, I guess we just. Nah, it's a little bit too late to restart a part. I guess we'll just end it here for now. Sadly, it was another loss, but maybe I'll put this video out or maybe I won't. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But yeah, that's going to be it for this part. Be sure to check out all the other parts. So hopefully I'll have more out. This was just another random video just to kind of get back into things because of how long I took. I took another too lengthy long break. But yeah, that's going to be it. Be sure to check all the other stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.